Hey everyone. I think I'm unmuted now. I just on my last live stream I got feedback that my mic quality could be better, which was fair. So I'm just plugging in my schmancy professional mic now. Hopefully you all can still hear me okay through my slightly less schmancy, slightly less professional other mic I have. All right. I wrapped it a little too well when I got this started earlier. All right. I think we're just gonna attach. Okay, and we're gonna plug in. Okay, and now we're gonna test out the mic. Please forgive this. Okay, looks like it's going well. Hello everyone and welcome to December 13th, Write With Me Live. I'm going to be writing a blog post from scratch, start to finish. If you have done this before with me, welcome back. If this is your first time, I hope you enjoy this. I look forward to this the whole week. I love doing these. I think they're so fun. And they're just a really good way for me to actually talk to people in the comments. One of the things I find hardest about being a creator is that it feels very one-sided, right? And I love the sense of community that I get from doing these, where I get to talk to people and people can ask me questions and I can reply. And I feel like we're all in it together. We're writing a blog post together. So yeah, I didn't sleep super great last night, so I'm a little slow this. We're just gonna be gentle with ourselves and write the best we can. That's the plan. Let me share my screen so you can see what I'm doing. I'm just getting Medium up. I always write inside of Medium because I like to know what it's gonna look like, just to have an idea of the white space. Like, okay, does this look like, should I put an ender here? You know, that kind of thing. How long should my title be? Drafting in Medium lets me know what it's gonna look like on Medium, where everyone will be reading it. So yeah, I had a couple of ideas for this post. I know I say it's start to finish, but I've got so many ideas in my head all the time that I always have a couple of things going on. So I was thinking I read this really cool paper about how to make yourself more likable, and it was agreeableness and being extroverted, and I thought that would make a really cool post. And then I read one about the psychological reason why we hate hypocrites more than we hate people who flat out lie and aren't ashamed about it. And then I saw one on Norwegian winter, which was how Norwegian people actually enjoy their super long, super dark winters, which I hate winter time. So I was like, that's powerful for me, for someone like me to read that kind of thing. Now I have to pick. Let me know if any of you all have any preferences on any of the drafts that you see here and you're like, oh, I would love to see her write that. In the meantime, thank you, Mariana, who's saying good quality. Very glad to hear that. I spent not a lot of money. It was $50, I think, for this mic, but so much that I was like, all right, people better appreciate it. So it's good to hear that you do. Robert says hi, and hello to Peter as well. Oh, and Frank too. Oh, I feel like the gang's all here. Yeah, I'm still thinking about what I want to post. All right, I'll give it another minute. You know what? Actually, oh, I think Astrid. Oh no, she's in, she's out, she's out. I'm gonna go. I'll be back in 1 second. I'm just gonna go because I finished my tea right before I started. So I'm just gonna go make a hot cup of tea. I'll be back in 1 minute. Don't go away. I'm back. Thankfully, my sister had just boiled the kettle, so I was able to pour in my hot drink. I'm just gonna close this. Well, I'll leave it open just in case Astrid wants to come back. Okay, I'm gonna mute myself just while I get this organized so you don't hear awful feedback. All right, couple of questions, couple of suggestions. Clem says, writing your first Medium article today, amazing. Hitting that publish button is such a milestone. So fingers crossed it works out well for you. Ratna says, cat, yeah, I left my door slightly open so she can push her way in if she wants. That's my cat, Astrid. The winter one, winter survival, hilarious joke from Frank. Yeah, a couple people saying the winter one should be good. Krasimira asks, since when do you drink tea? Yeah, so my family have always been big tea drinkers, but we really got into it, or I really got into it when I went to the UK. And it took me 2 years. I drank my tea black, but then on my 3rd year there, I gave in because everyone kept putting milk in my tea anyway. So I was like, oh, I may as well learn to love it. And now I really, really love it. Okay, so let's do this Norwegian winter one. That should be fun to write. Yeah, so I saw this blog post, which I thought was really fun. I don't want to rip this off directly. That's what I always want to avoid. I think it's good to get inspiration from all other types of media, but I do not want to just be like, I'm going to copy paste this article. So that's what we're going to try to avoid. So the neat thing is they actually cite research, or they don't cite research. They cite another article, which hopefully will cite research somewhere in here. Does she actually cite her research? Okay, there's one. We're just going to have to see if we can find her in Google Scholar because she doesn't actually cite her own research here. And the publication that she wrote sounds interesting. So we're just going to copy paste here and see what we get. Right, lady? Okay, is this one? Oh, the article itself was about mindset. No, that's not right. All right. Well, you know what? We're gonna go with this one, and we can quote her from this article, which isn't ideal. I would love to have a peer-reviewed journal to quote, but whatever. This is fine. Okay. How to use a Norwegian mindset to get through the long winter. All right, as a first title draft, I don't hate it. If you've been to these before, you'll know I usually go through quite a few iterations of titles as I write my post. My first one is almost never the one I end up with because I'm getting better at titles, but they're still my weak spot. Okay. And then a little dark, talking about suffering. Gosh, I hope not. And then, yeah, I always do the picture last too, because frankly, I don't like picking up pictures. It's very stressful for me. Okay, so we have our expert, we have our actual scientific study. Now we just have to come up with a structure. And again, if you've seen these before, you'll know that I don't write from start to beginning. I normally do like a short introduction, I'll work out my structure, and then I'll finish up with a conclusion, and then I go back through and fill in my sections. That's how I find it easiest to write and how I can actually crank out articles in like an hour and a half. All right, so one of my favorite templates for writing articles, I hope I'm not giving away any trade secrets. I'm going to say it. One of my favorite article templates is actually it's like a 3-punch. So I start with an anecdote, I then cite scientific studies, and I finish with a how you can do this at home. It's a winner. A lot of my most popular articles that aren't listicles have been written like this. So you know what? We can start to draft this out. Introduction, anecdote, science, how you can do this at home. I'll have to come up with a snappier acronym, won't I? Do it at, yeah. All right, whatever. Okay, so my anecdote actually is my introduction. And this is what makes these kind of nice and snappy because it flows quite neatly. My anecdote should be quite snappy. I have 2 to cite in here. I want to put this here so I don't lose them. If y'all have any questions, by the way, feel free to put them in the chat or like the comment section. I try to equally split my time between writing, and then when I sort of lose track of what I'm saying and need to take a break, I'll answer some questions. So yeah, just feel free to hop in there whenever. I've never been to Norway. No, that's not true. I have been to Norway. I went to Norway when I was 17 years old. I was doing a year abroad in Germany at the time, and my family came to visit me for Christmas, and we did a little holiday in Norway. That's really fun. Koselig. I love that word. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. Oh my gosh, that's pretty metal. In Svalbard, if you leave the main town, you have to take a gun to protect yourself from polar bears. I feel like that's a different planet. I feel like that can't happen in my suburban planet where I live. I live in like a suburb, like an hour's drive outside a big city. But never seen a polar bear. Pretty cool. Okay. I know how we're going to start this anecdote. First, I have to spell her name correctly. Leibowitz. Oh, my tea is really good. I've got peppermint today. 'Tis the season, right? I don't know why, but I feel like peppermint is very much a winter flavor, even though it's like refreshing and cooling. I think it's New Jersey, isn't it? I put the O in the wrong place. My cat is about to invade the screen. I'll turn the camera so you can see. Hi, Astrid. Hey, sweet girl. Oh, she's a little camera shy today. Oh, move. She's like perched. Oh, all right. She just jumped. The climate is cold year-round. Great. You know what? I don't want to get too much into specifics this early on. This is a great quote. We're going to whack that in. Is she a doctor? lost internet. I'm back, hopefully. My cat is causing drama up on top of the twin bed. What are you doing up there? What are you doing? She's being very mischievous. Doesn't she look a little bit like a gargoyle? My tea's already gone. How did that happen? I just made it like 10 minutes ago. Oh, it was good though. All right. All right. So now's a pretty good introduction because what I'm trying to do with this introduction is hook people. So I start by saying, look, she's gone to this wildly cold, what we would consider very miserable, tiny little town out in the middle of nowhere, north of the Arctic Circle. Why? What does she want to do there? Because researchers have discovered that residents of that area are unique in the way they can avoid wintertime depression. I'm actually putting an enter here because I want this idea to stand on its own. I want people's eyes to be like, oh wow, avoid wintertime depression. I would love to avoid wintertime depression, and then keep reading. Then we've got a fun quote. No, you know what? I'm gonna leave that there. I was thinking about moving it up here, but I'm not going to. And then her research discovered that the key wasn't cod liver oil, sunlight simulation lamps, or the daily ski commutes. It was a simpler yet more complex solution. The wintertime mindset. So then that's a good introduction because hopefully it will have accomplished my goal of getting people to stay with me all the way to the bottom. And now we go into the science. It's not just her, like a random who's just making stuff up. She's a real scientist, and she's published, well, maybe not published papers, but she's done real surveys. other studies have been published on this area. And that's going to sort of back me up and be like, I'm talking about a real thing. And then that will lead to the how you can do it at home kind of situation. So I'm going to come up with a good subtitle here, and then I'll go answer some questions. So, wintertime mindset. Researchers found that this is what I want to include. People residing. The darker it got, the more positive people were. I'm not in love with that subtitle. So okay, we'll come back to that. I'm going to answer some questions. So, Rachel Strickland wants to know, how do you decide which of your posts to submit to a publication and which ones to just put in my own pub? Two things. First of all, sometimes I submit stories and they get rejected. So most recently, I had like a psychological trick one, and I submitted it to Mind Cafe, and they were like, you know what, this isn't quite long enough. We want you to develop this idea a bit more. And I was feeling lazy that day, so I was like, no, I'll just publish it on my own. And then I put it in my story. I put it in my publication. The second is when I'm writing about something that's very personal to me, like my own personal story. So for example, I wrote one on when my husband and I got married at the county probate court. We ran into all kinds of weird people. And it's kind of like a human interest story, but I didn't think any pubs would want it. And I thought it would be good for letting people know a little bit more about who I am and what I'm up to every day. So I put it in my pub. Or stories about like how well I do on Medium. But yeah, so that's my decision process. If I'm too lazy to fix stuff when it gets rejected, or if it's specific to me, like this is interesting, but hopefully lots of people will resonate with this. Fingers crossed. Brianna is also writing an article. Cool. What is the FIRE movement and why aren't we talking about it more? I actually don't know what the FIRE movement is, so that's a very valid question. Why aren't we talking about it more? I can't wait to find out. When you finish it, if you're okay with this, post it in the comments because I would love to read it. New to Medium, tips for getting into bigger publications like Better Marketing and Better Humans. So Better Marketing, I can definitely give you some advice for. They really like case studies. They like homegrown tutorials. If you can do anything like, I tried this in marketing and this is what happened, that's the kind of stuff they're really into at the moment. Beyond that, the editor, Brittany, has given some really explicit instructions. Better marketing, writing. The submission guidelines here are really clear, really explicit. Brittany, she's a new editor of Better Marketing, and I think she's doing a really good job sort of steering the ship into a consistent direction. So the bar has gone up to get published in Better Marketing, but I think that's made things better overall. I'll post this link in the chat so you can have a look. How much time, daily or weekly, do you spend reading other people's articles on Medium? Probably not that much. I probably should read more. I mostly read on Medium to get ideas for what I should write, which is kind of a self-centered way of looking at it. But it's how I know what's popular, what's missing from the current conversation on Medium, what topics are trending, what topics are not popular. So I would say maybe like 10 minutes a day, something like that. After asking me for Mind Cafe advice last week, you got your first piece published with them. That's awesome. Yeah, please post the link. I would love to read that one as well. Congratulations. Can you be published in 2 pubs? No. So on Medium, you can only have a story in 1 publication at a time. However, whenever you publish, your story lives in 2 places. So for example, if you go to my stats here. So this is in, or this is a better one. This one is in Mind Cafe, but if I go to my own profile, bear with me. It's here too on my profile. So it's in the publication and my profile at the same time. So kind of yes, but also no, if that makes sense. Oh, Peter's having issues getting into, they've been having a lot of backend issues. I found that if I refresh enough times, normally by the time it reloads, it's sorted itself out. But you are not alone. All right, I'm all caught up. Back to the writing. I don't like that subtitle, so I'm actually gonna. I don't love that either, but that's okay. Just thinking, I want something here that sort of neatly segues into how people can do this at home. So, I mean, this is interesting. This is good. And then we can put this in. This section is going to be good for the how you can do it at home. I'm going to copy paste this just so I don't forget this. Because I want the science section to be like very fact-based. This is what she did. This was her outcome. This is why she thinks she had her outcome. And I want that to lead neatly into like, okay, so this is what she found. Here's how you can do this using this cool scientific study. That's kind of how this template works. It starts with an attention hook, it backs up my attention hook, and then it shows like actual value to the reader. So I always want to be careful about how I sort of segue people in and out of these paragraphs. That's a good point. I want to make sure that's in my, I never want, that's another thing I always want to do, especially with science. And I have 2 degrees in science, but I'm not a psychologist, and I never want to make it seem like I'm diagnosing people or telling them that their depression isn't real or anything like that. So whenever I talk about this kind of stuff, I always try to make it abundantly clear that if this doesn't work for you, that doesn't mean there's something wrong with you or that, you should be able to and you can't. It's like, this is what I found and this is what I think will work. She's moved to Georgia too. All right, I think I know what I'm going to call it. How you can learn to love your unpolar night. That's cute. I don't know if you just heard my stomach grumble. That's embarrassing. I never know if I'm using semicolons correctly. think that's right. Hopefully. I don't think I need this fall. Well, I will put the Svalbard in. I just love that polar bear anecdote. I just looked at it. I can't, what was it called? Stress mindset measure. Stress mindset measure. And then we can happily link this here. She's a professor of oh my God, no change in light. Oh God, I would hate to live there. I guess that shows how bad I would be at developing this winter mindset. All right, so we can take this out because I've already got it in. Oh. And we've got this one. Okay, So we've got our 2 sections here, which I think I'm already starting to think about how I can lead that into the how you can do this at home. I want to talk about how in that section that it's not like a genetic thing. It's not something you're born with or you're not. It's something you have to work at. And this is actually demonstrated because the further north they are, the more they have to work at it, and therefore the happier they are, or the more satisfied with life, the more generally open they are to challenges. So that actually gives me a lot of hope that I can turn this into a way to say, you can do this at home. It is possible. These people have done it, and you can too. Time to questions. Oh no, a lot of people heard my stomach grumbling. That's so embarrassing. I should go get a snack or something. Taco Bell. Oh, my favorite that they do are the Crunchwrap Supremes. They do a really good veggie crunch. Oh my God. I have to stop thinking about it. I'm too hungry. Oh, that's Violet's piece about getting into the Mind Cafe. Okay, cool. I'm going to get that up on a tab so I can look at it later. How do I access the Cambridge Core Bank for research sources? No, this is just the abstract. Everyone can access the abstract. If I wanted the full thing, yeah, I'd have to buy it. So 2 things here. First of all, I used to use this tool called Sci-Hub, which was high-key illegal. And I found it really good to use because, Sci-Hub let's try that one. Yeah, so she kept having to change the domain address because it's illegal. It kept being taken down, but you can get access to all kinds of articles that are behind the paywall. The other tool that I use, NCBI, is the NCBI website where you can, this has open access to a bunch of stuff. So let's see. Yes, this is the one. So because it's in PubMed. No, where's the whole thing? No. Maybe this one? No, they don't have the whole thing. So whenever I can't get access to the whole thing, I just cite the abstract. Most abstracts, especially the ones in psychology, are written well in a way that's easy for people to understand. So I can look at this and I can get a sense of their whole study. If I were a real researcher, I would want to have a look at their methods. I would want to analyze the shortcomings of the study and look at their potential for future research. But as an article writer, this is more than enough. They're really good about talking about the results. And this is enough for me to go on, even without full access. But if I did want to get full access, Sci-Hub, this one has worked for me. So you can scroll down and get the whole thing. It's thanks to this lady here. I don't know if you can see her waving. She's behind the Sci-Hub. But the domain keeps moving because it keeps getting shut down because it's illegal. So I'll let you make the decision. I'm not options there. What do I think about short forms? I actually haven't had a chance to use them, but I wanted to talk about this anyway because, to be honest, my stats on Medium have been really, really low lately. So I don't want to sound ungrateful. They're still high compared to a lot of other people's, but looking at my stats, like go a month back and you'll see that they were a lot higher. And my stories, I got hits way more frequently. So I'm not even breaking 1,000 on some of these. That's unusual. Like all of this, ever since maybe end of October, my stories have I haven't had a hit. I've had this one, 13,000, and this one, 11,500, have done okay, but nothing good. Whereas if you go back into like October, I did have a couple of hits that were much better, much bigger. And it was unusual to have something under $1,000 or under 1,000 views. I mean, look at this from October. I can't get this to happen on my stories anymore. And I've been talking to a lot of other Medium writers, and everyone's kind of experiencing this, that it's been harder to get hits and views are less than they used to be. So a couple of things I wanted to talk about with regards to this is like there are always going to be ups and downs on Medium. If you think that you have a really good story idea and you want it to go viral, I would actually say, sorry, Paula. I would actually say hold on to it and don't publish it yet because Medium's obviously doing some internal up and down stuff. And back to Ola's question, this is the time to experiment. So try new things like the short forms on Medium. I'm very excited to try them and see what happens with those. I don't know if I don't know what's going on with it, but I'm not going to give up on Medium. It is possible that this is the end of the gravy train. Everybody should get off now, but I hope that's not the case. I think this is just one in a long series of changes that Medium has made without really telling us what's happening. And you know what? You just roll with the punches, you keep trying, and hope that things will start panning out sooner rather than later. Off my soapbox. Thank you. Great question, Ola. Oh, actually, this is along similar thoughts. Yeah, so originally I thought this was just a small hiccup. It's now turning out to be quite a big hiccup. And I'm a little comforted by the fact that other people are experiencing this as well. Like, it's not just me being a crappy writer, it's changes, internal deep structural changes to the algorithm. So I think things will even out eventually over time. It's possible that they won't. And to that point, I'm actually checking out other platforms like Newsbreak and Vocal Media to see how those are doing. So I'm going to make a video about comparing these different platforms. So keep your eyes peeled for that, hopefully next Friday. So yeah, at the end of the day, 100,000 views on my content for someone who has no professional writing experience is pretty dang good, if you ask me. So I can't complain. And yeah, I don't, it's hard because this is now like my life. This is how I earn money. So it's hard to be gentle and not freak out about these kinds of things, but well, have to wait and see. All right, back to my writing. So again. How do I wrap this up? You know what? Actually, this is a good spot to talk about my own experience with this, like how I've done to do this. Any Spaniards here? I'm my dad's Spanish, so we always celebrate La Nochebuena and La Nochevieja. Sometimes we actually get to go spend time in Spain with the Spanish side of my family, which is just like I love. It's just looking at the same holidays. I love the American, everyone getting together, everyone eating. In Spain, it's normally people tend to go out more, especially for New Year's Eve, which is just like so much fun to just go through tapeando, getting little tapas bars in different places. I just love it. My internet has been so flaky lately. I don't know. I'm gonna have to do something about it. Don't know what though. What the heck? Okay. I'm gonna change networks. I might go for like a second or two. Bear with me. And we're back. Sorry about that, and thank you for bearing with me. That was so embarrassing. I hate not having good internet. Gonna make that a priority. Happening. Okay. All right. I'm gonna be right back. I'm just gonna go see if I can sort out the internet. All seems fine. Don't know what's going on. Thanks for bearing with me. Okay. Mic back on. Typing fingers ready. And can never remember how to spell her last name. Leibowitz. Leibowitz. Like the darkness, or what's another example of this? Like something that we construe as bad. The weather. Actually, this happens to me a lot. Well, not a lot, but this used to happen to me when I lived in the UK. I had to cycle for 25 minutes from home to work every day, twice a day, because, you know, you go to work and then you come home. And I found that the worst days were actually when it was slushy, like 35 degrees Fahrenheit, which is like 2 or 3 degrees Celsius. Kind of raining, kind of not. It was just enough for me to get absolutely soaked and then have to go to work and then just be in my wet, cold clothing all day. It was nasty. I hated it. But I guess if I wanted to do, so I guess that's actually a good example to talk about here. Okay, so This is kind of a long, have to do this at home. Okay, whenever I finish a post, I read the whole thing top to bottom out loud. But before I do that, I'll hop in and make sure there aren't any questions I missed. Having a hard time getting my posts seen. Not sure if it's the curatorial policy or just not getting seen. Some ways to check that out. Yeah, so there are 3 ways that you get traffic on Medium. The first is curation. They recently changed curation, but I'll show you how to tell. You can go into details on your stories. Here are 2 examples. Oh, did not want to do that. So this one has been curated, and you can see because it says chosen for further distribution. This one hasn't because it does not have that little sign, and it's been up for 2 days. So I can guess that this one won't have been curated, and I know for a fact that this one has. So that's the number 1 place, curation. If you're not getting curated, you don't have access to that source of views. The second source is publications. So it's not a guarantee, but most of my most viewed posts have been inside publications because you can access their followers as well as your own followers. And the third is your own followers. So for example, even though this one did not get curated, I have enough followers and my publication has enough followers seen by some people. Not as many as maybe it would have been another publication, but you gotta try. So there's a 4th kind of lesser talked about one, which is traffic off Medium. You can get this through SEO. So for example, I'm so proud of this. If you Google toxic friends, my article comes up, which is something I'm so proud of. This is my article. I know Google searches are probably like the results are personalized per person, but I was happy to get that anyway. So if you're not getting any of those, I would check A, have you been curated? B, can you get into any publications? Those 2 things will start helping you get followers, which is how you get C, follower traffic. And failing all that, you can try to work to improve your SEO to get your page, your post to rank for things on Google. Hopefully that helped. Violet wants to know if did I live or work in New York by any chance? I lived and worked in York for 3 years, actually. I attended the University of York, and I worked at a very small cheese shop just outside the city walls for about a year. It was a really fun time in my life. I loved it. Where did I live? I don't even remember the address anymore. Like a 10-minute walk into town. I really miss York, actually. It was a really cool time in my life. I had a ton of friends there. Yeah, good times. All right, I'm going to read the whole thing. How to use a Norwegian mindset to get through the long, dark winter. Research explains why Norwegian people don't suffer as much as expected, given their tough winters. Carrie Leibovitz packed her bags to go to the northernmost university in the world, north even of the Arctic Circle. The University of Tromsø, situated on a tiny island the size of Manhattan with about 70,000 residents during the coldest and darkest part of the year. Why? Actually, I will move this here because that helps answer my why. Why? Because researchers have discovered that the residents of northern Norway are unique in the way they can avoid wintertime depression. She wanted to learn more in the hopes of applying her research to help others accomplish the same. Residents of northern Norway seem able to avoid much of the wintertime suffering experienced elsewhere, including, paradoxically, in warmer, brighter, more southern locations, Carrie Leibovitz wrote via The Atlantic. Her research discovered that the key wasn't cod liver oil, sunlight simulation lamps, or the daily ski commutes. It was a simpler yet more complex solution, what Leibovitz coined the wintertime mindset. The wintertime mindset allows Norwegians to look forward to winter. No, we're going to change that. The science behind the wintertime mindset. The science behind the Norwegian wintertime mindset. When Leibovitz wanted to create a survey to test attitudes towards winter, she quickly ran into her problem as well as her eureka moment. No surveys existed that had questions asking about more positive mindsets to winter. Seasonal affective disorder and other psychological questionnaires, when they referenced winter attitudes at all, were resoundingly negative. The more she interacted, this was a problem because the more she interacted with the residents of Tromsø, the more she realized people there actually looked forward to winter. In Tromsø, the prevailing attitude is that winter is something to be enjoyed, not something to be endured, she wrote in The Atlantic. These folks didn't view it as an obstacle, but rather as a different experience, same as any other season. She found her friends would bundle up to continue spending time outdoors. They luxuriated in the kuslig feeling. They delighted in lighting candles everywhere. This revelation helped her develop a more balanced set of survey questions, modeling it off Professor Crumb's stress mindset measure, which allowed for both negative and positive feelings associated with wintertime. After surveying a random sample of 238 Norwegian adults, she found that there was a positive correlation between a positive attitude towards winter and both general life satisfaction as well as openness to new challenges. Interestingly, she also found that the further north the respondent was, the more positive their mindset was. Residents of Svalbard, a tiny Arctic island where temperatures average -4 to 8 degrees Fahrenheit and which experiences no lightening at all in the darkness during the polar nights, were downright sunny in their attitudes towards the long, dark winter. How you can learn to love your own polar nights. I feel like that's actually not a great subtitle because I haven't explained what a polar night is anywhere. So, how you can learn to love your wintertime, your own wintertime. The good news is that it's not that Tromsians and Svalbardians just have a special gene that lets them look forward to winter. They have, intentionally or not, cultivated a positive winter mindset. The further north people live, the more active they have to be about this mindset, which is why Leibowitz discovered the positive correlation between latitude, right? Latitude up, latitude, and positive winter mindset. Leibowitz found that even though she was a transplant and not a resident, she could work to look forward to winter too. Instead of thinking about the polar night as the mørketid, or dark time in Norwegian, she took a note out of her friend Fern's book, thinking of it as the blue time instead, and consciously focusing on the soft blue haze that settled over everything, and considering it cozy rather than depressing. I am a child of summer. I, myself, am a child of summer, preferring the warmth and light over anything else. I left the UK partially because I missed the hot, sweltering, humid Georgia Julys. But even I have managed to train myself to look at winter as a bright spot in the year rather than a slog to get through. I focus on the unique aspects I love about winter: mulled wine, baking cookies, bundling up in layers. I love the sense of family, as many of my favorite holidays take place on cold, dark nights. I rely on my Spanish heritage to celebrate La Nochebuena and La Nochevieja, which take place on Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. I don't want to imply that if you have depression or seasonal affective disorder, you can just magically mindset your way to happiness. But for those of us who think of winter as a challenge, an obstacle, a guaranteed bad time, it is good to know that it's possible to try to change the way we look at the season to experience a happier, more fulfilled life. To try this yourself, look for the bright spots, figuratively and literally, in winter. They'll be unique to you and your situation. Maybe rituals or routines you do with your family, maybe a local celebration to look forward to. You can also try what Fern and Leibowitz did and actively work to alter your mindset on circumstances you viewed as negative to become more positive. With the right mindset, it's not only possible, but actually enjoyable to get through the long, dark nights of winter. I'm actually pretty happy with that. So I recently learned that you can check the word count by highlighting all of it, and it shows you up here, which is, oh, it's not showing you. It should though. Oh, there it is. Can you see that? 868 words. Pretty neat, right? All right, so now I go to my favorite photo searching website called Pexels, and I'm going to look up something like cozy. I have found, again, this is a trade secret, that pictures of women, specifically profile pictures, like, turning pictures of women do the best on medium. So that's what I'm going to look for. I want something that's like darker though. You know, like you can tell it's winter. Maybe if I add winter. Winter. I don't want it to explicitly talk about like Christmas because I don't think it's talking about Christmas. This is talking about how to get over. Why are these ladies all on their laptops? All right, we're just going to get rid of cozy and go for winter woman. All right, I don't hate that one. The other thing I do is I try not to overuse images, and my metric is if it has over 1 million views, I don't touch it. This has 11 million views, so I can guarantee this picture has appeared on Medium a ton of times. So we're gonna look for something older, maybe something better. This is kind of cute, actually. I like that one, but I don't want the Christmas tree. I want something like this picture, but with a person in it, like a person's face, ideally a woman's face. Yeah, I guess I don't hate this one. Let's see. Okay, that only has 500,000 views. It works. I think it's good because, you know, she's bundled up, so you can tell it's wintry where she is. And, oh, that's not what I wanted to do. And she's smiling, so she's happy, and she's like, you know, and she looks like what I consider as Norwegian, you know, tall, thin, white, blonde lady. I can't tell if she's tall from this picture, but you get the idea. Okay, and I'm not about to publish it. I'm gonna just hit publish because this lets me see what it's gonna look like to people on Medium. So annoyingly, I can't use this picture because it cuts off her eye. Oh, so frustrating. Okay, so I can't use that one. Very annoying. We're gonna look for, oh, the other thing you might not know, you can scroll down to see similar ones. That one's kind of cute. I don't hate this one. We can open this one in a new link, new tab. One of my fatal flaws is I spend way too long picking my picture out. I want a happy winter woman. Maybe I should just type that in. Happy. That was just downright depressing. Why does she look so sad? I mean, I guess there is a good reason to be sad with the year we've had. I would use this one, but I actually just used this picture for another post I wrote, so. Happy winter woman. I don't hate it. Let's see what it looks like. I'm gonna try to get the dregs of my tea. It's not bad. Okay, a couple of people have suggested cropping the image, so we are gonna try that. But if not, this one will work fine. So now I have to find that other image. I'm not a super great photo editor, so you will have to bear with me. I think if I edit this, can I? So if where's the cropping thing? This is going to be painful to anybody who actually knows how to do design. Let's try that. So that's the cropped one, right? Let's see what that's going to look like. Oh, it didn't save. My draft didn't save. All right, let's try now. Okay, I take it back. The cropping worked. I was pessimistic. I did not think it was going to work, but it did. I'm wrong, and y'all are right. Now I have to find where I got that stupid picture from. Where was it? It was high up, wasn't it? Winter woman. Crediting pictures is one of the most important things you actually have to do. I know it sounds silly, but that's what they look for. Okay, here it is. Share. There's my link. Then we can actually make this bigger. Lovely. Okay. I do want to add on who she is, like her credentials. Is she a doctor yet? I feel like she is. Oh, she's a PhD student. I'm not going to put that whole thing in there. You're back. I'm back. Hopefully you're all still there. Carrie Leibowitz, social psychology PhD. Great. Okay, so we're back. When I dropped out, hopefully not too late. Yeah, I was just going through, I'm trying to figure out how I want to hook people in. Is northernmost too chunky of a word? I don't know. I think it's going to be fine. And then I want to workshop a title. Actually, I think that title's okay. So I'm going to aim for this to get into the ascent, because I think it's a cool pub and I've been seeing a lot of good stories on there lately. So we are going to add to the publication. We are going to add to, oh, maybe this is, the ascent. Submit. Okay, so psychology, self, travel, culture. I don't do these weird voices when it's just me, just because I'm in front of an audience. So this is special for you. Travel, culture, what else? It's not relationships, really. It's like, wellness. It's a little generic, but I like it. And submit to publication. Done. I don't actually know if they'll take this. If they don't, my next place would be Mind Cafe. I hate to say it, I have actually been not publishing in Mind Cafe lately. I say lately, like the past week. And the reason is my stats. Like I published this one in Mind Cafe. 1K for a listicle for me, that's like bad. So I'm trying out different things and just figuring out maybe there's a way to fix this. Maybe it's a different publication, but this is the thing. And as Ola said, like it's about experimenting, trying new things, seeing how to play with the new medium, if that makes sense. So I'm done. It's only been an hour and a half, which is pretty quick. So I would love to answer any questions if you have any. And if not, I will let you get back to your Sunday because we've made it to Sunday already. The weekend goes away too quick, doesn't it? But yeah, feel free to drop any comments or questions in the chat. I'll wait around for a minute or two just to make sure nobody's left with any cliffhanger questions. Took a break from Medium and now finding it tough to get back. Any tips? Yeah, 2 tips. First of all, I would say don't try to focus on writing pieces. I would say focus on writing time. So what I mean by this is just set a goal to write 5 minutes a day. Just 5. Hopefully you'll find that as you start to write these 5 minutes, those 5 minutes will very easily turn into 10, 20, 30, whatever. But start with 5. See how that goes. The second thing is to get used to hitting the publish button. I kind of duck out of this now. I hardly ever publish in my own profile. I almost always publish in an external publication. But if I were struggling to get back on the Medium bus, what I would do is just hit publish and try to get used to that feeling of like, will it go viral? Will I get 10 views? What's going to happen to this? And try to remove that feeling of pressure. And I think that just by forcing yourself to publish, that's the best way to do it. Took so long to find just the right pick. Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Like I said, I spend way too much time. I don't even know how much it matters, but how can you see how many times Unsplash picks have been used? I have no idea. This is part of the reason I use Pexel rather than Unsplash. I especially never use the Unsplash integration, which I'll show you in just a second. Like I never do, let me show you this one, because this is like very low hanging fruit. Everyone will have typed in happy at some point and picked like this picture. I'm sure we've seen this picture like 1,000 times on Medium. So I never use the integration because it's very hard to find a picture that has not been used. And it's hard to see how popular it's been, which is one of my metrics. So that's what I go for. How to get people to write in publication? A couple of different ways. First of all, you can just create a popular publication and then people will contact you being like, hey, I want to write in this. And then you should have a tab on your publication saying, here's how you submit, here's how you can be added as a writer. The second way is you can go on, I'll show you, medium.com/topic/relationships, for example. Go through here and see which ones are not currently in publications. For example, God, these are all in publications. But if they weren't, what you could do is click on one, like this one, and just leave a private note like, hey, I loved this story. Would you be willing to add it to my pub? My pub. I have added you as a writer. That's how you do it. I'm not going to send that. That would be super creepy. My stats are lower after the Medium changes. Is it true for me too? Yes. Yeah, it super is. I will show for anyone who wasn't here earlier. I did like a before and after. So this has been a bad month. The more. Is it going to load? Yeah, so this, oh, I don't know what happened there. I have no idea what's going on. I have more than 0 views, I promise. Yeah, so last month I had more views. The month before that, I had even more views. And even the month before that. And so like I had a lot of views. I don't know what happened. I'm hoping that they're going to iron things out soon. How do I decide which publication to submit to my story to? Yeah, it's a little bit of like my gut feeling. For a long time, I only published in Mind Cafe because a lot of my like top best performing stories have been in Mind Cafe, and I always am chasing the high of getting another viral story. However, as I said last month, this month, nothing in Mind Cafe for me has really been taking off. So I'm going to try the Ascent, which is like a similar self-helpy type publication, but maybe one that will have better results for me. If I really have no idea, what I do is I go to medium.com/topic/ say programming if I wanted to know where to put a programming story. And I look at two things. First of all, so these are all the stories that have been curated in the programming tag. So I look at the publications that are showing that science, robotics and AI, probably gaming, developers coffee. These are good ones to aim for. I also look at the popular in programming. So look at this one. Where's this one been published? Let's see. Better programming. What about this one? The startup. So this will give me a better idea for which publications to aim for if I want to get my top results. I sent an article to the Ascent and was rejected. Should I try to send it to Mind Cafe? I always take rejection as an opportunity to revisit my story. Did it get rejected because it wasn't a good fit or because it wasn't a good story? So if you got rejected, it's possible that it wasn't a good fit, and that means that you should have another look at it before you submit it to Mind Cafe. Without knowing what your story's about, it's very hard for me to say. Do I ever think about it before crafting my article? Sometimes I do. So trying to think. One time I saw a story that was like popular on Medium, and it was a relationships listicle in PS I Love You, and I was like, I'm going to do that. I'm going to write a relationships listicle that will be popular on Medium, and I have to get into PS I Love You to do that. So I did, and I did. For extremely insecure girlfriend. There we go. Oh. Extremely insecure girlfriends. This is one of my stories. So I wrote this with PS I Love You in mind. So done pretty well. Do I think SEO makes a big impact for views on each post on Medium? No, but you can see. So this one, SEO has had a very minimal impact. You can see that only 4% of the traffic is from Google. Most of it is from people emailing it to each other or from Medium. But some it does. So for example, how to get famous on Instagram. Yeah, this is my post. It gets almost no traffic internally, but it gets a ton of traffic. So on this one, SEO makes a massive impact. You can see all of this is from Google. Like 95% of it is from Google. So 5 ways patience can change your life for the better. Does it sound too clickbaity? So actually, this is a great, I made a note here. This is what I wanted to show y'all today. Oh my gosh, spam follower attack on Medium. Oof. Anyway, where were we? Yeah, so if you're looking for clickbait, they just had it. Here's it. So these are their questions to check if you have clickbait or not. So if you can answer those, and if you have the right answer on all of these, then no, it's not clickbait. But if you don't, then yes, it is clickbait by Medium standards. Niches to look for in the programming fields. Unfortunately, I cannot. I am not a super programming expert, but I can suggest where to look, which is the programming, the data science, and maybe like the JavaScript curation tabs. So like medium.com/topic/data science. I know a little bit about computer science, enough to write about it, but not well enough to recommend other people. So have a look at these and maybe get some inspiration. Okay, so I think that's it. I will let you know if I get published. I'll post the update in the link in this video description. And yeah, if you have any questions, if you wrote an article during this time, if you just want to tell me that you like this or really don't like it or whatever you want, post a comment in the YouTube, post a YouTube comment. I would love to read them. I go through all of my YouTube comments on Mondays and I answer them then. So you should, if you've asked me a question, you should be getting an answer tomorrow. And yeah, I really, really, really love doing these. And thank you again for doing them with me. These are super fun. Yeah, it's great. Okay, happy writing, everyone, and have a